All right, all right, all right. Welcome back to the Malapert Smark Podcast. We've never been in the wrestling business, but we know more than anyone in the wrestling business. Give us the book, and we'll throw you the biggest wrestling bash there's ever been. But disappointingly, we're not born rich like Tony Khan was, so we were not given our own promotions like old Tony. Or even Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon basically was given a promotion. Come on, he didn't start WWF from scratch. But anyways,
Not from scratch.
we don't own promotions, so all we can do is sit here and yell at the current programs from the sidelines and tell them how to do it. Therefore, we are the Malapert Smarks. Today we're discussing AEW. They're running an angle where the Young Bucks and FTR are in the finals of a vacant tag title tournament. But the Young Bucks are claiming that they lost their last match to FTR at the big All in London show because they were distracted by a backstage altercation between Jungle Jack Perry and AEW wrestler at the time, CM Punk. Now, CM Punk got fired from AEW because of this incident, and maybe some others from the past that could have played a part. We've covered this on our channel. If you search Malapert Smark, CM Punk fired by AEW in the YouTube search, you can find our whole analysis of this, so we're not going to go through all that detail for detail. We assume if you're into wrestling, you kind of know what happened. But we never saw the footage of what actually happened in this backstage real shoot fight. But we knew that there was footage. It just was never released. Then CM Punk did an interview a couple weeks ago and explained his side of things. He said that Tony Schiavone asked him, CM Punk, to talk to Jack Perry about destroying the glass on a rental car because they couldn't get him to stop with this idea. Everyone thought it was ridiculous. And then CM Punk recounted how Jack Perry cursed out all of management and wouldn't listen to CM Punk either. And then he went ahead and did the broken glass spot on the rental car at All In. Called out CM Punk and management right into the camera, broke kayfabe, and said, real glass, quote unquote, cry me a river. And then it all went down backstage as CM Punk was on next, and he ran into Jungle Jack Perry. All right, so listen, guys. By the way, I got Vlad, the wrestling expert here, and Robert, the frozen Asian, our two mainstays on the Malapert Smark Podcast. But listen. For our discussion today, I'm going to split this up into two parts. First, we're going to cover the actual backstage footage of the fight at All In, okay? Then after that, we'll discuss the fact that AEW decided to air it. We'll do that separately, and then the way they used it in the angle to further their storyline with the FTR and the Young Bucks. So first, I will play CM Punk recounting this event. His recounting of this event from his interview with Ariel Helwani on Ariel Helwani's show, whatever that's called. So here's what he said happened. So listen carefully.
What happened?
Jack came back from his match. I was the next match. I'm sitting there. And I got people with me. I'm not going to say who they are, you know, because I got a lot of friends who work there, and I wish them all well, and I don't want them to be punished because they're friends with me. You know, and I walk up to him and I'm just like, Jack, why do you insist on doing this dumb internet shit, like on TV, you know? And he's just like, well, if you got a problem about it, do something about it. And I was just like, man, come on, man. You know, I'll fucking kill you. Like, what are we doing, you know? And it just, you know, it's like Chael says, sometimes he just can't let you get close, you know? I thought I was doing a responsible thing, you know? I didn't punch anybody. I just choked somebody a little bit. Samoa Joe was there, told me to stop, and then I quit. I turned to Tony and I said, this place is a fucking joke, man. You're a clown. I quit. I went to my room, and then Joe and Jerry.
All right. So there's that. Now I'm going to play you the actual footage. Finally. So this aired on Dynamite.
Well, they're going to have to workshop the name of the trio.
It was introduced by the Young Bucks, and they introduced how it was getting introduced into an angle. But we'll discuss that in a minute. But let me forward to the footage they finally introduced, and we finally get to see the big fight the real fight. This is not wrestling. This is a real fight between CM Punk and Jack Perry. So Jack Perry's done with his match, and he's in the back. Tony Khan is probably on the right over here. You can't see him on this security footage, but he's in there. It's called the gorilla position. I guess he's letting people know when to go in, and he's giving instructions. So here comes CM Punk. So CM Punk approaches Jack Perry. CM Punk comes straight to Jack Perry's face. They're pretty close right there. Okay? The way he was saying, oh, don't let anyone get close to you, right? He's already pretty close. Okay, I don't want to give my opinion about this yet. But, so, they're talking. There they are over here. I'm going to point my mouse to them over here. And still talking. Samoa Joe's over there on the left. You see some referees, some personnel, some management. All right, so there it goes. Punk pushes Jack Perry, grabs him in a headlock. And at the end, when they're trying to pull Jack Perry away, takes one swipe, one punch. Then he goes over to Tony Khan. I guess what he said was, you guys are a joke, you're a clown. And, okay, you know what? I don't want to give my opinion first. I want to hear from Vlad and Robert. Is that what CM Punk said? Is what CM Punk said, is that what happened?
Yes. It looks like it happened exactly, almost, if not 100%, 99.9% exactly how he described it. I can't see any fault in anything that he said. He came up to him. We don't have the audio, obviously, of what was said between them, but I definitely believe Punk that there was some shit talking back and forth, probably. That led to finally Punk snapping and grabbing him and then putting him in one of those blocks, like a choke, I guess, or sort of choke. And then he said, as he said it, Samoa Joe pulled him off. He got mad. He yelled at Tony. I mean, he described it word for it was. I think played it next to his comments. Right, there was a video on Twitter. I think it got took down because AEW is taking now all these videos down of playing like his interview and the video, and it was pretty much word for word how he described. So, yes, I don't see unless one of you wants to point out where he.
Well, do you think he's in the right then? Okay, if you're saying he's accurate the way he described it.
I've always said he's in the right from the beginning. I said to fire he had to have done some major damage for them to fire him over this. Your biggest star, the one big name that they have in this whole company, that actually willingly went there. Yes, it was always a mistake unless he really started like punching people left and right, like he laid out Jack and he lunged at Tony and was going to punch Tony or something like that. Okay, maybe then I could have understood. But this was nothing. I almost would say this was nothing. This goes on in wrestling locker rooms throughout history. This is definitely, and even worse things go on in wrestling locker rooms throughout history. This is almost zero compared to some of the stuff that goes on, not just in wrestling locker rooms, but I'm sure in any type of like basketball, football locker rooms, all kinds of locker rooms with athletes. This thing goes on. I completely agree with that. Fights happen, things like that.
So you think that's okay? You think everything that happened that CM Punk did there was okay?
Yes, I think it's okay. based on not if there wasn't any reason to do it, I would say no, it's not okay. Like if there was just like it wasn't like coming, like if Jack Perry didn't have it coming, like if this was just out of the blue, out of nowhere, and Punk just lost it, I would say, like, dude, what are you doing? Like that's way out of line. Like poor Jack Perry didn't deserve that. But in this case, I think it was deserved. It was very well deserved. You just can't run your mouth and don't expect any type of consequences for running your mouth at someone. So I agree that. So if you're asking me, was it deserved? Yes, it was deserved. Bottom line.
Oh man. Well, look. Before I go to Robert and get his opinion, I'll do his last. I'll do mine just because I wanna say, I gotta say, Vlad, I'm surprised by a lot of what you're saying. when we started
Really?
this show.
Which part?
Yeah, man,
Which
you're
part?
supposed to be politically correct here, Vlad. You can't say that it's okay to go up to someone and be violent, no matter what they did. Look, CM Punk is a hothead. The generation of let's handle things the old school way. You can't get violent in this world anymore. It just doesn't cut it. You can get sued. It's not how things work. And Punk telling management that he kept telling them, handle this or you're not going to like how I handle it. What the fuck is that? So nobody handled that, so that means you have to go get violent with the guy?
He
Then,
didn't have to, but I think that was his. I think it was the last resort, and he.
it was the last resort. Look, let me, before I comment on
do you
that.
agree? Do you agree? Way worse things happen in.
Yeah, but that's not the way the world works anymore, man. It's not the 80s.
No, not even in the 80s. I'm sure this happens in locker rooms today. Do you think it doesn't happen in NFL locker rooms where two guys just go at it because they had something happen on the field, even teammates, because in practice, or even in the NBA? I mean, wait a second. Draymond Green knocked out Jordan Poole. That's way worse than whatever happened.
Oh well, yeah. Well, he got suspended for that. But anyways, it wasn't his own.
Fine,
it wasn't his own. It wasn't his own teammate. But okay,
it was his own teammates. Yes. What are you talking about? Draymond Green and Jordan Poole are teammates. They were.
Oh yeah, you're right. My bad there. Well, look.
But anyways, yes.
Let me just comment. Let me just make one more comment because I didn't play the part where he said, "Look, you can't let a guy get too close to you." That's what he said. That's why I had to grab him. But look, let me rewind it a little bit.
Okay, they were already close.
They were already close. That's why I'm saying, was that accurate? Because look, CM Punk went up to him.
Okay.
Jungle Jack didn't go up to CM Punk. CM Punk took it upon himself that I'm going to go talk to this guy. He was way close to him right here, and he didn't do anything. He just got frustrated with something this kid told him, and he lost his cool. It's not good. Look, the bigger man would have walked away and said, this idiot kid is not worth my energy. And then why even do that interview? Why even do that interview with Ariel Helwani? The time has passed. No one cares anymore.
Oh.
You're already happy now.
Jesus Christ.
In WWE.
Ariel asked
Why
the
dig
question.
up old skeletons?
Ariel asked
what
the
did he think he was gonna ask if he went up there? He could have said, "Look, we don't need to talk about it. It's not nothing good is gonna come of it." I guess if people are curious, I just don't think Punk comes out looking as good in this as everyone else does. But let's see what Robert thinks.
Interesting.
Okay. So there's two questions that were asked here. So number one, does it match what the footage match what CM Punk described, and number two, what was CM Punk in the right? So I'm gonna answer them separately. Okay. So for the most part, the way CM Punk described it in the interview, I do believe in the interview he actually did say that he approached Jack Perry, which is right. He never said otherwise before. Unfortunately, like what Vlad pointed out, there's no audio, so we don't know if what CM Punk told Jack and how Jack responded was exactly the way that CM Punk described in the interview. We there's no way we could tell because we can't hear the audio, right? That is kind of important. But yes, CM Punk did approach Jack Perry. Let's assume that what CM Punk said in the interview about what was said was actually said. He didn't mention anything. I think the way CM Punk described it, he just went straight for the headlock right away. There was
that's what I thought.
Yeah, so that there was clearly a shove first, not a punch. It didn't look like a punch to me, at least. There was a shove, and then he lunged at him and did the headlock. Okay, so there was no mention of a shove, but that's to me that's kind of a minor detail. That's not too big of a deal. Now, you did say on a few occasions, that's probably Tony Khan sitting there. We just can't see him, sitting in the gorilla position. That's an important thing to keep in mind, that we couldn't see Tony Khan. That's going to play in a factor into the second part that we're going to discuss later. Okay, that's I'll bring it up again. But we couldn't see Tony Khan there, but we did see CM Punk lunge toward that direction also. Called him a clown and said I quit or whatever, according to
Yeah,
the
yeah.
CM Punk
After he
interview.
got
Yeah.
violent
So
with Jack Perry.
we could presume that was Tony Khan sitting there, but we just couldn't
Yeah.
see him, right?
For sure.
He was there.
Um,
That was him.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
that was him, yeah.
let's just say it was him. For the most part, the way that CM Punk described it in the interview did actually play out. He never denied, not approaching Jack Perry. He never denied being the one that, actually started the physical confrontation. He never said he didn't. So I don't think there was anything wrong with what CM Punk described, except, minus the mention of a shove. It did play out the way he described it. Was he in the right or wrong?
Well, before you
I don't-
answer if he was right or
Okay.
wrong, would you say? I just want to know. Do you think you feared for if you were there? Would you fear for your life?
No, okay. That's because remember, Kayan mentioned there's a separate section we're gonna cover, right?
okay,
I want
okay.
to save it for that.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I want to
Fair
save it for that.
enough, fair enough.
I have an answer to that, but we'll save it for that. Okay.
All right.
So
go ahead.
no, I don't think he was in the right. I just like Kayan said, the bigger man would have not done what CM Punk did. However,
man, come
okay.
on.
However, the ramifications of what happened as a result of that, it's just, it really wasn't that big of a deal to me,
No, I agree.
right? So CM Punk wasn't in the right, but it wasn't that bad. In my opinion, like Vlad said, this stuff like this does happen all the time. So I agree with Kayan in that one point that he wasn't in the right, but also I also agree with Vlad. Like, hey, this happens all the time. So I'm kind of in the middle here. I do believe CM Punk should not have shoved Jack Perry and should not have done the headlock on him, but oh well, it happened, and I also think it's not that big of a deal.
All right. Well,
I just want to say that not only that, but not only that was it not that big of a deal based on the video that they showed. If you're gonna fire your biggest star over that,
Yeah.
oh my god,
Yes,
bro.
yes. Because like I said, the ramifications that happened as a result of that is
That's just terrible, bro.
is horrible. Yeah.
I mean, unbelievable. To fire
Just based on what we saw,
no, that you can't do that. You just
Yeah.
can't fire him for that. If you want to suspend him, fine. I'm okay with that.
only
But to
because
fi-
he's CM
outright
Punk.
fire.
If it was anyone else going around being violent in the back, it's like, dude, what the fuck is your problem?
Yeah.
But okay, I want to move on to the next question. I'll
Sure.
start with Robert
Yeah, well,
first.
okay, fine.
Since he was-
I was going to leave
since
it.
he was
I was going to leave
talking.
it there. Fine. I disagree with that last point, but we'll go on.
I know we disagree about this, but okay. Let's talk about now the fact that they used the footage to try to. Well, it was a response to Punk's
Right.
interview. First of all, they already had a response when Edge came out and did that promo, that weird promo about there's a lot of controversies going on and AEW's doing good and all this or whatever. But then this was the real response. They decided to air the footage because to say like, well, I'll give my opinion about what they were trying to say by airing the footage. But okay. Robert, your opinion of the fact that they used the footage and the fact that they're using it in an angle for the FTR Young Bucks match. You
Okay.
go ahead. Then Vlad,
All right,
you're
so
next.
now this answers the question that you were asking, because I knew Kahan was going to ask this. So, all right, as Kahan had mentioned before, we couldn't actually see Tony Khan. We could only presume that was him because that's the gorilla position, right? So, if this was supposed to be used as like, let's say that this was like a trial, right? And we're in a courtroom. We're trying to use this as we're using this video as evidence. We can't see that that's Tony Khan. That's
Oh my
first of all,
God.
that doesn't really prove
Dude, there'll
anything.
be witnesses that say Tony
all
Khan
right,
was
sure.
there.
But no one said that when in the AEW programming, right? When they were describing it, they just they just tried to use an angle and just showed it, right? And we can only presume that's Tony Khan. All right, but let's say that it was really him. It was very obvious it was Tony Khan. Remember in last week's episode, I said that Tony Khan needed to respond because when in the interview when CM Punk said that he didn't do anything to make Tony Khan fear for his life, right? And that was in response, obviously Tony Khan made that comment a while back, and CM Punk claimed that he did nothing to make him feel that way. So, and I said in last week's episode, all right, Tony, you gotta respond to that. This video is not what I had in mind, because if that's all, if what we saw in the video, if that's all that happened, it really it makes Tony Khan look really soft. Like that's all it takes to fear for your life. Then you need to grow a set, dude. Like, come on, man.
Well, there was a violent guy there acting all psycho and coming towards him.
Man, you have a whole bunch of wrestlers employed. Like I'm sure a lot of them have some attitude and feel some sort of way. Like that can't be the only time that's ever happened. I'm sorry, but it really makes him look bad if that's all it took to make him fear for his life. First of all, and
well, let's take a look at that. Let's take a look at that spot before we move along. I'll forward to it. So this is in the middle of Jack Perry and Jungle Boy. All right, so here it goes. I'll slow motion it. So he's already pushed Jack Perry off, and here he goes. He's pointing a finger at
Probably
Tony Khan, and he's kind of getting close to him. Like Ace Steel is holding him back. Like some guy had to hold him back. You see, he's coming real close to him. I don't know. I think he was acting pretty crazy. To be honest, it's not about the fact that there's violence. It's about the fact that there's a psycho guy, and you don't know what he's gonna do. Like, you guys ever been like at a liquor store and there's like a fucking schizophrenic guy or something, or a drunk guy? You don't know what they're gonna do.
You think CM Punk is a schizophrenic guy? Come on, huh?
I mean, the way he's acting like a guy who can't control his anger. He's got anger management issues. You don't know. Maybe he'll be like, "Fuck it, I don't care." Maybe you just don't know. Okay, that's all I'm saying.
Fuck it, I don't care. I'm just gonna strangle Tony Khan right here and now.
That's what he was thinking in that moment. He was fearing for his life, I guess. I mean, he got pretty close to him. What can I say? He did come towards Tony Khan, I will say, and he said something to him.
He did.
He said something.
He did.
He insulted him. He said, "You're a clown." It's messed up, man.
Haven't we said worse about him in the show? Way worse than he's a clown.
Maybe you have, not me. I mean, I don't know. I mean, just because the guy doesn't book wrestling well doesn't mean I think he's a bad guy. But okay, I think he's doing his best.
He's a bad guy. I just think he's a bad guy. But we said worse than he's a clown. I'm pretty sure about that.
You said you maybe called him stupid and a bad wrestling booker or something like that. I don't know. I don't think he's stupid. I just think he has different tastes in wrestling than us. Personally.
We've also referenced his potential pharmaceutical activities, but nonetheless, continue, Robert.
But I also wanted to ask you, answer your question about
the question about them
like
using it on the show.
Using it as part of an angle. To be honest with you, I found that hilarious. I found it hilarious.
I did too, honestly.
Because like, come on, I did. I got a kick out of it. I'm not gonna lie. I actually laughed like the ridiculousness of this. Like, they're actually going through with this and trying to put it in an angle. It was.
It's like we were distracted, man. We couldn't focus after that.
Was it right? I don't know. Maybe not. But I still got a kick out of it. Like, wow. Because we're not stupid. We know what they're really doing. They were just looking for an excuse to show the footage, and that's what they came up with. And I don't know. That was hilarious. That's all I have to say about it. Whether it was right or not.
Yeah. Okay, it was hilarious to you, but do you think that it was cool that they used it? Because come on, this is something like Tony Khan said. I feared for my life. This could be a court case, and now here they are using it to pop a rating or something.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards no, but I still got a kick out of it.
All right, Vlad, let's get your opinion. What did you think of them using the footage on the show and using it in an angle two separate
know,
questions.
As it was airing and as that segment was going, I kind of had a thought of like, when are we going to get the death of AEW documentary going? Like that will be
Oh
the
my
start
God.
of that will be the beginning of how
Produced by
the com-
WWE.
exactly probably produced by WWE on Peacock, right? But listen, no, in all reality, that was just ridiculous. Yes, was it funny? Yes, I laughed too because of the pure stupidity of it. Everybody's reaction, everybody's face, like Tony Schiavone's face after that segment aired was something to behold. I mean, it was embarrassing. I felt really embarrassed for them as a company because this was like a desperate ploy for, I guess, ratings is the only thing I could think of because it didn't really make them, like, if they were looking to be the sympathetic figure in this after the video aired, that failed because it really did match up mostly with what Punk said, like what he described. And then, as me and Robert have both kind of said, it really wasn't that bad. Like, okay, was he quote unquote violent? Sure, if that's how you want to define violence, yes. But was it as bad to fire him over? No. So I'm not really sure what they were going for, except for the rating thing. Otherwise, it was very desperate. It seems like it was a desperate move of a company that knows that it's floundering, that the attendance in these live shows outside of the stuff that they do, maybe in Canada or when they're in like England, is really bad. The ratings are horrendously bad right now. So they got a little rating pop, I think, from what I read, from just airing this, but not significant to the point where now they're just going to go up from here. After this, they'll go back down to wherever they were. So it was just a 1 week boost. But where do you go from that? You're not going to get anything out of that. It's not, you can't maintain it. I don't know. I mean, I think I think that's it. They're done. They're done as a company. It's over for them. It's just going to be a matter of when. It's all over. This is going to be on the death of AEW documentary. I really believe, and they'll show that this is one of the main reasons that the company went down. Went down. But I think in reality, it was a lot of things that before that led up to it. But this was going to be like
sure.
the stuff that they play for sure. Yeah,
Well,
that's my opinion. I think it's over.
Before I give my opinion about them airing the footage, I just will give one response to something you said about why did they play it. I think they played it because they think they're in the right. I think they think showing the footage shows Punk is a hothead and couldn't control himself and was the first one who got violent. Now, my opinion about them airing the footage, same as with Punk. I say just be the bigger person. Just, even if you're in the right, this makes you look childish. Like, if this was the court of law, you would look stupid for doing this. Looks like you're instigating, even at this point. Even with him not around, they're still instigating. And for what? For ratings? Even if it was going to pop a big rating, it didn't pop that big a rating even. It popped like 100,000 more than it did the week before.
Not even, but
if they wanted to pop
60,000.
If they wanted to pop a big rating, they should have done this back when it actually happened. And they should have made them all work together. But
yes.
Alas, I don't think Punk really wanted to work with the Bucks, and they didn't want to work with him. So this seems like the most petty way things could have gone down, literally from both ends. Punk could have kept his mouth shut too. I think the reason they played it is because what he was saying was kind of BS. He's not as innocent as he made himself sound. But I will say one last thing in conclusion. I think Jack Perry would have nuclear heat if they brought him back in the right way in Chicago to cut a promo to open the show.
He came back to Chicago. You didn't know? There was a New Japan event in Chicago a couple of days ago. And he got lots of heat there.
Oh my God. I didn't hear that. But yeah, in AEW, if they could pull that off in AEW too, like in an AEW program, I think it would be big. But knowing AEW, they'll probably fuck that up too.
What I think what made it, well, not that there's nothing that could make this worse, but I think the fact that later on in the segment, or maybe the next segment with FTR and the Young Bucks, later on when the Young Bucks are out there, like the crowd is chanting CM Punk. I mean, that's not what you want. That's not the reaction you want from the crowd at all.
That's pretty bad. You gotta move on from him. You gotta move on from him.
You can't get that reaction. You don't want them cheering for this guy, the guy that left your company and you're trying to belittle, and now is being portrayed as a top star in the top company in the world. I mean, no, you can't. This was a disaster. I'm sorry. I don't know I don't care how you thought you were going to look. There was no way that this was going to end well for them. Nope. Even when people knew about this beforehand, they are getting maligned across the board for airing this footage because it's some of the worst things. It's one of the worst things they've done, and that's saying a lot because this is AEW.
All right. Well, we didn't actually discuss any AEW this week, like from their shows, but we might get back to that next week. Partly because this is the bigger news, and partly because the AEW shows have been just fucking terrible lately. We're leading towards a showdown between Samoa Joe and Swerve Strickland for the AEW title at Dynasty. That's coming up this Sunday. We will reconvene and discuss if there's anything worth discussing. But for now, for Vlad, the wrestling expert, and Robert, the frozen Asian, I'm Kahan. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you soon.